A small pill or capsule seems so simple, but very few people understand how medicines are made and the immense efforts required to get the medicines in the market and in your hands. Like a relay race, the drug development has several stages and requires a team effort, often involving the government, universities, and pharmaceutical companies to reach the finish line. Hello everyone, welcome back to India Business Insights. In today's video, we are going to explore dynamic landscape of the Indian pharmaceutical industry, a vital contributor to global healthcare, innovation and accessibility. Let's start by discussing about the brief history. Over the last few decades, the Indian pharmaceutical industry has experienced rapid expansion, which may be divided into four stages. 1911 to 1970. Before 1970, the patent regime was based on the Indian Patents and Design Act 1911, which recognized both products and process patents. During this period, foreign companies dominated the market with only a limited number of domestic companies. 1970 to 1995. The government's new Patents Act recognized process patents but not product patents, which meant that the patenting regime was focused solely on manufacturing. It also enabled domestic pharma companies to reverse engineer the manufacturing process of drugs without paying royalty to the original patent holder. Consequently, the number of patents granted between 1970 to 1971 and 1980 to 1981 fell by 3/4. Furthermore, the 1979 Drug Price Control Order set a ceiling on the overall profits of pharma companies. This period saw a huge rise in the number of domestic pharma companies from 2,000 in 1970 to 24,000 in 1995, creating a booming generic drugs industry. While in many industries, some prominent companies including Coca-Cola and IBM left after the Janata Party was elected in 1977 and socialist policies were implemented, the impact on the pharma industry was somewhat less. 1995 to 2005. The experience gained by focusing manufacturing on generic drugs enabled Indian pharma companies to expand their capacities and gain a global reach, as a number of Indian pharma companies entered the export market. This period saw an intensification of pharma export growth aided by the 1991 economic liberalization of India, which opened the economy to privatization and globalization. 2005 to 2019. The 2005 Patents Amendment Act abolished the process patenting system and introduced product patents. This prevented Indian pharma companies from producing generic copies while these drugs were still covered by patents protection, encouraging foreign pharma companies to return to India. In this post-process patent paradigm, Indian pharma started investing more in research and development (R&D) to compete with their foreign peers, with some companies developing their own new molecules while others entered into R&D joint ventures with foreign pharma companies. Now let's discuss about the industry overview. The Indian pharmaceutical industry ranks third globally in pharmaceutical production by volume, with a current market size of around approximately $50 billion and is known for its generic medicines and low-cost vaccines. The sector contributed to around 1.32% of the gross value added of the Indian economy in 2020-21. India is a global leader in the supply of DPT, BCG and measles vaccines. India is one of the biggest suppliers of low-cost vaccines in the world. India accounts for 60% of global vaccine production, contributing 40 to 70% of the WHO demand for diphtheria, tetanus and pertussis, DPT, and Bacillus calmette-guerin, BCG vaccines, and 90% of the WHO demand for the measles vaccine. There are 500 API manufacturers contributing about 8% in the global API industry. India is the largest supplier of generic medicines. It manufactures about 60,000 different generic brands across 60 therapeutic categories and accounts for 20% of the global supply of generics. Access to affordable HIV treatment from India is one of the greatest success stories in medicine. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, it showcased exceptional performance, making a mark on the global stage. Despite a nationwide lockdown, the industry ensured a steady supply of medicines and vaccines. It played a vital role in vaccinating 2.2 billion Indians and providing over 290 million vaccine doses to more than 100 countries through the Vaccine Maitri initiative. The industry also worked tirelessly to develop medicines, testing kits, and treatments for COVID-19. This showed its dedication, flexibility, and enormous potential. Therefore, our pharmaceutical industry is known as the pharmacy of the world. The sector offers lower cost without compromising on quality, as is reflected by the fact India has the highest number of United States Food and Drug Administration US FDA approved pharmaceutical plants outside the US, and also a significant number of World Health Organization WHO Good Manufacturing Practices GMP compliant plants, as well as plants approved by regulatory authority of other countries. India also has several renowned pharmaceutical, educational and research institutes and a robust support of allied industries. India's pharmaceutical sector forms a major component of the country's foreign trade and has been consistently making trade surplus. Indian pharma exports reached rupees 1,74,955 crores or USD 23.5 billion in FY22. This was largely driven by exports of generic drugs to more than 200 countries. The country accounts for 40% of the generics demand in the US and approx 25% of all medicines in the UK. Further, in the vaccine market, India exports vaccines to more than 150 countries. Now let's discuss about the business segments. Pharmaceutical companies operate in various product segments, each specializing in different aspects of the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry. The major product segments of the pharmaceutical company include drug formulations. This segment involves the development, manufacturing, and marketing of finished pharmaceutical products, also known as drug formulations. These include tablets, capsules, injectables, syrups, and other dosage forms containing active pharmaceutical ingredients (APIs). Active pharmaceutical ingredients (APIs). The main ingredient in pharmaceutical is API, active pharmaceutical ingredient. It is the main drug which cures disease. There are many companies which produce and are specialists in only producing APIs. In producing APIs, the companies either purchase intermediates from different players and mix them to produce a final API, or they themselves produce all or some of the intermediates and mix at their own place. These are the companies which deal only in API. They sell their produced APIs to different formulation players who then further process it to make it a consumable drug. The companies who produce and sell APIs need their product to get registered with the US FDA by filling a Drug Master File (DMF), which makes sure that the facilities of the API manufacturing company are in proper shape and are safe. There are basically three streams of APIs sold by the companies: oncology, hormones, and steroids. Major revenue is earned from oncology segment. Biopharmaceuticals. Biopharmaceutical companies develop and manufacture drugs derived from biological sources such as proteins, antibodies, or nucleic acids. This includes biotechnological products like monoclonal antibodies, vaccines, and gene therapies. Over-the-counter OTC medications. OTC medications are non-prescription drugs that consumers can purchase without a prescription. Pharmaceutical companies develop and market a variety of OTC products including pain relievers, antacids, cold and flu medication, and more. Generic pharmaceuticals. Generic pharmaceutical companies produce and market generic versions of brand name drugs once the patent protection for the original drug expires. Generic drugs are bioequivalent to their branded counterparts and offer cost-effective alternatives. Contract Manufacturing (CMO) and Contract Development and Manufacturing Organizations (CDMO). Some pharmaceutical companies specialize in providing contract manufacturing services, producing drugs for other companies on a contractual basis. CDMOs may also offer development services in addition to manufacturing. Contract Research Organizations (CRO). CROs provide services related to clinical research and development. They support pharmaceutical companies in conducting clinical trials, preclinical studies, and other research activities. Vaccines. Companies in this segment focus on the research, development, and production of vaccines to prevent or treat various infectious diseases. Vaccines play a crucial role in public health by providing immunity against specific pathogens. Diagnostics and imaging agents. Some pharmaceutical companies are involved in the development of diagnostic tools, imaging agents, and laboratory reagents used in medical diagnostics. This includes products for in vitro diagnostics and medical imaging. Animal health. Pharmaceuticals for veterinary use fall under the animal health segment. These products include medications for the treatment and prevention of diseases in animals. Nutraceuticals and dietary supplements. Companies in this segment develop and market products such as vitamins, minerals, herbal supplements, and other dietary supplements that are used for health and wellness purposes. Medical devices. While not pharmaceutical, some pharmaceutical companies may diversify into the production of medical devices, which can include instruments, apparatus, and machines used for medical diagnosis and treatment. Now let's discuss about the regulatory compliances. Pharma is one of the most regulated industries and employs regulatory affairs professionals to ensure the quality, safety, and efficacy of therapies patients use. The growth of the pharmaceutical industry is also dependent upon regulatory legislation and systems, apart from various other factors. Therefore, it becomes vital to understand the regulatory processes in the Indian pharmaceutical sector. Here are following some regulatory bodies which are working as pillars to hold the regulatory infrastructure of pharmaceutical industry of India. Some of the prominent bodies who regulate the pharma sector in India include the Central Drug Standard Control Organization (CDSCO). The CDSCO is the Department for Health and Family Welfare, responsible for approving drugs and conducting clinical trials according to the provisions of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. It has to lay down standards of the quality of drugs. It has to ensure compliance for both the medications imported and the ones produced in India. In addition, it ensures that law is being applied uniformly across different parts of the country. The Drug Controller General of India (DCGI). This body is head of CDSCO and its responsibility is to perform licensing and controlling functions of CDSCO. The National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority (NPPA). The NPPA is a branch of the Department of Pharmaceuticals of the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers under the Drugs Price Control Order of 1995, created to update the prices of bulk medications that are regulated and their formulation. They have to ensure maintaining the cost of drugs and their availability. The Directorate General of Health Services (DGHS). The DGHS is responsible for providing technical help and advising on matters of public health. It ensures the implementation of national health programs across all the states through its regional offices. It has to make sure that companies are complying with international health regulations. The Indian Council of Medical Research (ICMR). The ICMR is responsible for developing ethical guidelines and policies that guide biomedical research in India. ICMR extends its support to conduct training programs and exercises that help build capacity along with policy formulation and the issue of guidelines based on inputs given by clinicians, legal experts, and other stakeholders. Regulatory Affairs Department within companies that produce medicines, medical devices, food supplements, and veterinary medicines ensure that their organizations comply with all regulations and laws concerning their business. These regulatory affairs professionals must stay current with complex regulations and often have expertise in legal, regulatory, and clinical trial environments. Pharma regulatory affairs professionals are key players in drug development, maintaining a vital communications link between the pharmaceutical company and the regulatory agencies like the FDA in the United States, TGA in Australia, MHRA in the United Kingdom, and MCC in South Africa, to name a few. Trade and industry associations. There are few trade associations in the industry representing different groups of producers. The Organization of Pharmaceutical Producers of India, OPPI, representing big Indian pharma with high R&D base. Indian Pharmaceutical Association, IPA, a professional association of pharmacists in India. Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, IPA, Pharmaceuticals Export Promotion Council of India, PharmExcel, the official export promotion council facilitating the promotion and export of pharmaceutical products from India. Confederation of Indian Pharma Industry, CIPI, the apex body of small-scale manufacturers of drugs and pharma in India. Bulk Drug Manufacturers Association, BDMA, and the Indian Drug Manufacturing Association, IDMA. Now let's discuss about the challenges. The Indian pharmaceutical industry is currently ranked third, evolving over time into a thriving industry growing at a CAGR of 9.43% since the past 9 years. As per a recent report by the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, the market has the potential to grow to US dollars 120 to 130 billion by 2030. According to the government data, the Indian pharmaceutical industry is worth approximately US dollars 50 billion, with over US dollars 25 billion of the value coming from exports. Despite its remarkable growth and achievements over the years, the industry confronts an array of challenges from regulatory hurdles to evolving market dynamics and the global competition, like India is yet to achieve universal healthcare access. Access to healthcare in India is inadequate in comparison to the size of the population. As per the World Health Organization Global Health Data Repository 2016, about 29 skilled health workers are available for every 10,000 people in India, compared to about 41 in China and about 111 in the United States. While India meets WHO's critical threshold of about 23 skilled professionals for every 10,000 people, it would need to add 1.5 million healthcare professionals, a 42% increase to meet the needs of the population. It is extremely critical for a healthy India and a thriving healthcare ecosystem. Also, with less than a third of Indians having health insurance, the rest of the population pays medical bills from their own pockets. As a result, they must make tough trade-offs between their healthcare needs and other necessities. Such challenges need innovative digital intervention to mitigate accessibility shortcomings at optimal costs. Now let's discuss about the lack of stable pricing environment. Frequent and unexpected changes to the domestic pricing policy have created an uncertain environment for investment and innovation. If we see from other perspective, then it seems fine as people are getting good quality drugs at cheaper prices, but it becomes a hurdle in the innovation capabilities of pharma companies. If there is not much of the surety of getting the investment back that is already spent on R&D, then the pharma companies will hesitate to invest respectable amounts in their R&D departments for drug discovery. Now let's discuss about the pricing pressure in US generics market. The US hold a prominent position as one of the largest export destinations for the Indian pharma industry, accounting for approximately 30 to 35% of the total formulation exports. In recent years, the US generics market has experienced significant price corrections due to the consolidation of buyers and distributors. This poses a higher risk to Indian pharma. Also, the limited presence in key markets like China and Japan continues to be a challenge. Furthermore, it is worth noting that the pricing erosion in the US generic market has eased to low single digit, a significant improvement compared to the high double-digit erosion witnessed in the past 2 years. Now, let's discuss about the dependence on external markets for intermediates and APIs. It is ironical that at one time, India was the leading API manufacturer. But over the years, it lost its edge to Chinese counterparts due to cost-effective technologies and large-scale operations, which has helped China get a competitive advantage. Large-scale pharmaceutical parks, having common utilities that are mostly owned by the government, have enabled overseas firms to achieve cost efficiencies that were unimaginable in the past. Apart from utilities, the comparative cost of setting up a plant, sourcing raw materials, employing labor, inward and outward logistics management, etc., is relatively more expensive in India compared to China. Despite having the third largest pharmaceutical industry by volume in the world and being the largest manufacturer of generic medicines globally, India is heavily dependent on China for imports of active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs. 3 years since the PLI scheme was launched, India's reliance on China for APIs and other pharma products has only increased. According to the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, the import from China alone grew from 2,64,582 metric tons at a value of Rs 23,273 crore in 2021-22 to 3,120 metric tons at a value of Rs 25,551 crore in 2022-23. According to the government report, India imports about 68% of its API from China as it is a cheaper option than manufacturing them domestically. And the dependence on China for certain life-saving antibiotics such as penicillin and azithromycin used to treat bacterial infections such as bronchitis is about 80% to 90% according to industry data. India has attained leadership in the generic market globally. While Indian companies should continue to maintain their strong position in the global generics market, they can't rely on basic generics exclusively to ensure future growth. Focusing more on complex generics, biosimilars, vaccines represent an emerging model for Indian pharma companies with the potential to bring sustained long-term growth for the sector. Complex generics. Complex generics being difficult to develop has limited competition and hence they offer higher margins. Seeing the big opportunity, some of the top Indian companies such as Dr. Reddy's, Zydus, Glenmark, Aurobindo, Cipla, Sun, etc. has already started building their pipelines. Biosimilars. The first biosimilar in India got an approval in early 2000s for hepatitis B. While the initial uptake was slow, increase in the number of approvals in the last years indicated a positive trend towards the acceptance of biosimilars. However, very few Indian companies have been able to penetrate the US and European markets. Vaccines. The country is the biggest volume supplier to public markets of vaccines, fulfilling over 60% of global vaccine requirements. The next frontier for India is to focus on R&D in new and complex vaccines, and their imperative has become more urgent due to COVID-19. Companies such as Zydus, Cadila and Bharat Biotech have already embarked on this journey. Thank you for taking up the time to view this video and stay tuned for the upcoming part 2 where we will delve into some more details about the pharmaceutical industry in India. Let us know in the comment section below regarding any specific topic you would like us to cover in the next part. Do like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Don't forget to hit the bell icon.